next up is the Critics Roundtable, and that is going to be introduced by Mr. Frank Kelley, Brigadier General retired, Vice President of Defense Acquisition University, also known as DAU, and Chairman of the iFEST Program Committee. As the iFEST Program Committee Chairman, Mr. Kelley is responsible and has been for overseeing the 33-member committee, which has worked an entire year to bring you this iFEST. Of course, I would be remiss to allow any opportunity to pass me by to say a few words about Mr. Kelley myself, so I prepared a few comments. So much as Eileen Smith is a dreamer with a doing problem, I like to think of Mr. Kelley as a doer with a dreaming problem. In just 2 years, he has led DAU to a radical transformation, and it's his leadership skills that have really served as a driving force. He's helped us forge an amazing relationship with ADL that I can't think of a single person who didn't want it. And that's going to allow us all to grow and learn together. So stay tuned for very exciting things in the future. But really, it's his vision and his insight and his willingness to let us be the dreamers when it's appropriate that calls us to excel and to do everything at the highest level that we can every day. So thank you, sir. Thank you, ADL, for giving me the opportunity to introduce this, and we'll turn it over to you, sir. Thank you.
So Alicia, don't go anywhere.
Uh-oh. Now
So
I've done it.
First of all, beautifully done, exactly as I wrote it. So I want to thank you. By the way, you obviously have solved the teletransportation, flitted around that room. I was trying to figure out how many of you there were. An incredible skill. Your other skills.
Very adaptable.
So one of the things that I do just want to pile on real quick, and I know I'm kind of diving into some ending time here, is you mentioned quality. We've talked a lot about effectiveness, learning effectiveness, which is really all about performance. And could you just talk real quick, because I think it's really important, and I know I'm putting you on the spot. Are we at a point, or I think now we're at a point where we no longer have to talk about trades between quality and effectiveness. And I just would like to get some of your thoughts, since you have done a remarkable job, quite frankly, in providing a wake-up call to the community, but certainly those of us at DAU.
Yeah, so I think that there are some elements, and I don't know that we can pretend that we're going to be effective anymore without quality. I think that if people were to see the types of courses, not everybody here provides, but some of us certainly, it's like kids with a learning game, right? They sniff it out immediately and they want nothing to do with it. I think that as we really look forward to the types of quality propositions we need to make within our own education and training programs, what we're really doing is we are just really rising to the occasion that if it's important, we're going to treat it as if it's important. And if it's important, it's going to be of high quality. Quality doesn't always have to be visual, of course. There's relevance and recency and the ability to actually impact performance. But all of those things have to work in concert if we want to actually impact learning at the highest levels.
Thanks so much. I really have to say, being able to follow you around in the Orlando area, as there's essentially a parade for you down there. I know that based on your reputation. I appreciate being able to draft off of that reputation that you quite legitimately have earned within this community, and it's really been a pleasure. Quite frankly, it's a struggle just to keep up with you. So because I don't get it often anymore to talk in military terms, I'm going to start off with this one. You are dismissed. Thank you. And
thank you, sir.
I appreciate everything you've done for me, with me, and look forward to continuing more work at DAU with you. Thanks so much. And if Aaron Presnall and Keith Beurskens could join me out there, I'd appreciate that. Fantastic. Thanks so much. I'll tell you, one of the things that's great when you literally have to pick and choose between some of the talented folks that we have out here, whether or not they're just whether they can be moderators, like Eileen Smith was, or even just somebody that's going to introduce panel members like Alicia is. I think it just talks about the caliber of folks that we have in the community doing e-learning, and but also folks that are willing to spend their time, like both of you, by the way. The other thing that has really impressed me over my, I would say, somewhat limited engagement with the learning community is everywhere I turn, I am surrounded by PhDs. And I know that in some way they are there to save me from myself. And I'm joined right now by two PhDs, Dr. Keith Beurskens, who's the Vice President of Academic Affairs at Army University, and Aaron Presnall, who is the President of the Jefferson Institute. And gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me for this Critics Roundtable session. Now, one of the things that really impressed me about our program and event committees, when we knew that we were going to have to change venues, and as Admiral Rob set us up for, it was a dramatic change in venue. I will say one thing that I noticed, that our folks did not want to turn away from doing anything new and risky. They actually sought out opportunities to do some new things. We've seen some of that over the last 2 days, and actually this Critics Roundtable is one of those new events that we've seen for iFEST. Now, Aaron, you've been around and provided leadership for iFEST probably for years, if not decades. What's been your big takeaway for 2020?
Years. I'm not quite that old. I think what's been really impressive to me, and with the shifts in technology, we talked about this a little bit yesterday at Critics Roundtable as well. Still, the most impressive part of this event is the human side. The quality of the individuals, as you talked about, the presentations, the materials that they're delivering. It's all just outstanding, and we can see that now in different kinds of ways through the technology. But that human side is tremendously impressive, and just keeps getting better. The one thing that's really interesting about the platform that we have is the long tail, so that we're able to, at a regular face-to-face event, you see someone give a presentation, it's words in the air and then it's gone, right? Or you have a chat in the hallway. Sometimes you didn't quite have enough time to ask that last follow-up question. The web platform that we have allows for us to go back. We can see the recordings of the keynotes. We can continue our conversations in chat the next day, the day after. The book club itself is an incredible long-tail resource. There are months of value baked into that book club for readings. I think the 4-star panel that we saw yesterday was amazing, and through the war on the rocks, a couple really key points that I saw there. One was any brick, any mortar can be a training environment, right? A total dissolving of this debate between brick and mortar versus digital, and the real emphasis on jointness and training. And I think we see that as well through all of the different presentations through these last couple days. Today, the keynote really emphasizing partnership. Yesterday, we heard a lot from leadership on distance learning and delivering on lethality and business effectiveness. And today, we led off with partnership, and I thought that was a great rounding out. We hit all the wickets here. It's an incredible community, and that kind of elaboration on how really sort of getting into the weeds, collaboration with flexible small country partners through exercises are great ways to innovate and to see the Brigadier General there. I'm talking about this connects to the last panel. Time and space disruptions. He was literally putting his helmet on and going to a field with a platoon in the field across the ocean. Joining us, coming back again. It was an amazing presentation of multiplicity. And then I think lastly, a real trend line I've seen here is the blending of different platforms and campaigns of learning. So we're not talking about innovations on instances of learning or particular tools that do really cool things, but it's about the mashups and how can you string a series of different tools, different learning environments together through interoperable and standardized data to really deliver for the learner over time, and of course for the institutions over time as well. I've just I think A to Z, it's been a great couple of days. I'm really looking forward to the presentation focus tomorrow as well.
Perfect. You know, I was going to ask you, and I think you already gave it to me. What sort of trajectory do you see iFEST on in the community in general? I think you already provided that. I love the theme about mashups, and I think we actually saw that on the last panel for sure. By the way, I have to tell you, for whatever we're thinking about for next year, I'm not so sure we're paying our folks that are doing the Ignite sessions enough. By the way, it's a lot of pressure. I am thoroughly impressed by how much they get out there. I can hardly keep up with it myself. Even on this last session, you talked about General Lejeune talking about scale and time and space. And the thing that I think is so great about this event is the networking of ideas, the collision and connection of ideas throughout both days, to be perfectly honest. We just heard Eileen Smith talk about the how we are playing with, so to speak, time, space, and scale. And I think that that's critically important, probably something that we might take with us next year. So next year, Keith, you are going to be the chairman for next year, and I'm sure there's going to be goods that we're going to take with us next year. But who could have predicted that we'd be in the predicament that we're in right now? Lejeune's told us, don't be surprised. So what do you got planned for us next year? What are you thinking? What kind of help you're going to need for the rest of it? So,
thank you. You know, for next year, I think we're still in a bit of a wait and see from the perspective of the feedback we get with the success and the things that work very, very well with this year's virtual conference, and with the conditions next year when it comes to the pandemic or health-related precautions that we're still taking. What I think would be very exciting is if we could take the best of both those worlds, that we have portions of it that we could do still in person, face-to-face, where we have attendees, but then we still are able to do the virtual piece of it that enlarges the number of people that can participate. At one point today, I saw that there were 501 participants. I've been to iFEST a couple of times, and I don't remember that we've had 501 people at the iFEST before. So I think that probably our reach was extended because of it being a virtual conference. And one of the things I heard that was a pretty common comment during the innovation panel was this whole idea of democratizing learning. Well, I think that this virtual conference may have done that same thing for our outreach with iFEST. And I know that with my organization, that I spread very widely this access and let them know what a unique opportunity it was. And to build on what Aaron said, my word, we have access to all this information, and we can keep the dialogue going to the end of the year. And so I always know that I left a conference with a notebook full of notes and thinking I caught 10% of what was going on. So I think there are some very, very positive things. I look forward to getting feedback for folks so that our committee can take then that feedback and leverage the best of maybe both those worlds and have a blended conference. Of course, it always depends on how difficult that type of thing is to execute and our partners, but I think that would be a goal to aspire to. I know that this has certainly set the stage for 2021, and I think that thanks to both you, Frank, and Aaron, for the leadership that you've shown this year. I got involved in around January after accepting the position for next year of 2021, and I was kind of your guys' turtle coming along, trying to learn what was happening and the things that go on in the back room of the shop on putting this conference together. And I will tell you that I was so very, very, very impressed with every single person involved in this, all the committee people, all the support people, the bird dogs. It's just a tremendous group of people, and I look forward to working with all of them. So thank you, Frank.
Fantastic. And this idea about being like a turtle, I can go back when we realized that things were not going to be quite the same. And there might have been a little bit of a delay there, thinking, well, maybe this will work its way out. We certainly weren't the only conference at the time that that had to change venues, but I just that obviously the technology was available, and this is something that I think Aaron yesterday during the same Critics Roundtable talked about, the fact that we've been building on this technology for a long time, and then it was called into play, and it performed well. I think it might very well be the same way with some of the ideas that were proposed out there. I'll tell you one thing that I was very impressed with, and was the ability to go through the strategic down to what some might think was a tactical sort of idea. And Aaron, if you can just talk maybe about the coverage of concepts and what you thought. If you remember, Lisa Hirschman yesterday talked about efficiency for lethality. And the first thing I thought about was maybe there was a George Orwell novel, that I missed, Efficiency for Lethality. And then I'm like, you knucklehead, that's right there in the National Defense Strategy. And I think any conference can claim legitimacy. And certainly the last two panels today talked about that connection to the warfighter, but can claim legitimacy when you can tie yourself in that quickly with the National Defense Strategy, and obviously with somebody who carries that much gravitas within the Department of Defense. And so, Aaron, I just thought I'd get your quick thoughts on that.
Oh yeah, well that was the framing of yesterday from essentially directly connecting the agenda of this conference to the National Defense Strategy, closing the day yesterday, having again senior leadership talking about the value to the warfighter, and today so many integrative efforts. I think we talk about breaking down silos in terms of the data and the institutions. What I've been so impressed with, as well as the breaking down of silos and partnerships and development of some of these innovations, across academics and industry and government. ADL has certainly led the way in facilitating a number of those partnerships, but this is it's not unique to ADL. You can see this in a variety of ways. I think that looking forward, and to Keith's point, with the opportunity for us to reach out further, one of the things that COVID has done for us, in a way, is we now have a massively expanded universe of innovators by necessity. Right? We're not talking to but a small portion of those people through this event. there's a huge expansion of the community of innovators that we can reach out to and learn from. And I think that's exactly the kind of challenge that we want to try to have as an iFEST community. And I'm really excited to see what Keith and the program committee can do. Frank, not to pile on, but this was anything but a regular year. And while we've had a more active committee this year than I think iFEST has ever had, you really held us together. There were moments where we had a lot of people with a lot of energy and a lot of different ideas. And you did a great job of keeping us on track, and so that we could deliver this unified product here at the end. Not done yet, but there's still moments to come. But no, it's been a pleasure working with you this last year, Frank.
I appreciate that, and you know what? I love the fact that you said we're not done yet. So I'm going to let Keith kind of close out our little session right here, and not try to make the pucker factor go up there, Keith, but what do you want us to do? What's the call to action? One thing that I'll just tee it up for, and I think that you know, Aaron really stepped up and said, hey, you know, we're going to need this website. It's going to have to be a little bit different kind of a website this year, and it clearly is. I mean, if I can't keep up with the presentations, I'm certainly not keeping up with the activity. I've got a lot of homework to do tonight. I've got posters to look at. I've got booths to visit. I've got people to reach out to. So you're going to take us out of here, and you just give us the order. What do you need us to do?
Well, it isn't over yet. We've got tomorrow. And so with tomorrow, you can still review all of the content from the conference, as well as participate in the moderated chat rooms. And I hope people really take advantage of that, because one of the other things that was talked about today was personalization of learning. And that is really one of the, I think, bigger opportunities that we have in the conference to get to a more personal level in what we not only contribute as people that have attended the conference, but what we get from others, from the community at large. So you've heard experts, you've heard people on the cusp of innovation for the last 2 days. Tomorrow, you get to do your part. You get to contribute to that conversation, and you get to help the community at large learn more broadly. So I encourage everyone to do that. I think it would be a shame if people turned off the conference today and did not participate in what's going on tomorrow. And other than that, I think you should look forward to a great iFEST again next year, and we'll keep you a little bit in the dark on exactly what it's going to look like to build a little bit of suspense, and then we'll launch a campaign for that probably by the end of the calendar year.
All right, fantastic, gentlemen. Thanks again. It was a pleasure working with you. I know we're not done yet, and look forward to 2021. Thank you very much. So I get the chance to close us out, and I really do appreciate you know, all the help. One thing that I think General Lejeune today talked to us about being surprised, and that we shouldn't be surprised. And so I would say, as we look towards 2021, let's not be surprised. Let's take General Lejeune's call to action for us, and never let a good crisis, never miss an opportunity to take advantage of a good crisis. You know, as Admiral Robb started us off this morning, he just said that the program committee, the relationship between the Advanced Distributed Learning Initiative and NTSA showed remarkable agility. And I just can't say enough for our team. And if I know that one of my problems would be, I would try to list everybody and I might leave somebody out, but I just can't tell you how we had 33 members on that team. Almost everybody showed up almost every week for our meetings. We got them into a steady drumbeat for how we were going to flex to this new venue, and I think that the product of this is really representative of people's professionalism. The passion and expertise that you saw demonstrated here today is just incredible. Where else are you going to get acronyms like Chewbacca? Layla Guerra, I think today, told us to, hey, hear me out. This is somebody that definitely wanted to be heard. And so I love having these passionate experts, leaders in the field being brought to iFEST and spurring us on to action. But we do have a lot of work to do. And the good news is that the work isn't done, just like we said with Aaron and Keith. And I will tell you that I really do encourage everybody. It is not over today, and it's not, quite frankly, over tomorrow. That website's going to be up. The opportunities to make connections, to network, to revisit some of the things that you may have missed or not been able to pay full attention to is going to be available to you. So I really, really encourage you to take advantage of that opportunity. And one thing that I thought that was really fascinating, again, with General Lejeune, was that we've had a chance to peer into our future, how we operate at scale, how we take advantage of technology, and that's certainly what we're going to see for next year. So let's not be surprised. Let's take a look at our future and let's take it on for next year. And so I would like to thank every one of you. As a former Marine, one of my favorite things to do was to listen to great phraseology in the Marine Corps. And one of them was carry on. So I'd like everyone to carry on, and we'll see you next year. Thank you.